1, 2, 3, turn around. Don't you watch me now, just turn around. Touch your knees, don't look, just turn around. Do it now, walk right through that town.
Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. You might remember a while back, we had the Fiat boys come by. We saw the truck going by and we flagged them down, and they brought one of these to the garage, but we didn't get a chance to drive it because they weren't officially on the road yet. Well, now they are, and we're going to drive this in just a minute. And let's bring in Tim Kuniskis. He's head of Fiat North America. Is that right? Tim, how you doing?
Great to meet you.
Good to see you. Give us a brief update on the car. You know, I've got my Fiat 500, which I love, and it's a lot of fun. And this is kind of like that, maybe on steroids a little bit. 160 horse, right?
160 horse, 170 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
This is the wicked cousin of the regular 500. This car is totally different than the regular 500. Forget about everything you know about that car. The only thing that's the same is the sheet metal. Everything else we've touched, the suspension, the exhaust, the engine, transmission, everything.
As you can see, it's got all the Carlos Abarth badging on there. Carlos Abarth was an Austrian who moved to Italy and loved Italian cars. He built exhaust systems and even built some of his own cars with Zagato, always using Fiat, of course. And of course, it's one of the great names in automotive history, and it's great to see it being brought back again. Let's see what's different about the dashboard. You've all seen the 500. This one, well, you got your turbo boost gauge there, a little thicker steering wheel, huh?
Thicker steering wheel, flat bottom.
Yeah,
so
more
for aggressive driving, it stays out of your way.
More of a driver's seat.
High bolstered seats.
Got the fancy pedals down there. And it still gets, you said 34 miles per gallon,
34
right?
miles per gallon,
Yeah.
28 in the city.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really what the future of sports cars are going to be, you know. Well, the striping, the paintwork.
The body kit's different.
Okay, yeah.
The rear fascia's different. You
Yeah,
see you got the diffuser in the back, the dual
Right.
exhaust, obviously the bigger spoiler for the downforce.
Right, right.
If you come around the front, obviously different spoiler in the front because we have twin intercoolers, so we have to have a new front spoiler so we can let the air in. The intercooler's right here, lets the hot air out.
Right.
Actually, we've taken every advantage to keep the car cool, and for performance, even the badge is functional. This allows air into the engine compartment.
Let's open the engine compartment. Can you open it up for us?
Sure.
There we go.
Got a rod right here.
There we go. Okay, don't plan on doing a lot of work in here yourself. Boy, they really get everything in there, don't they? You got your heat shield over here. Even your battery's protected. Your battery's right up here. But everything's right here. We can get to it. Battery, fluid, engine oil, washer fluid, or overflow rather, coolant, washer fluid. It's all right up here. It's amazing how space efficient these are. Is that an extra set of keys hidden in there? Look at that.
Well, I thought, you know,
How about that?
spare.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Little place to keep an extra spare kit of keys. How about that? Tell me about the brakes. Are the brakes different than the standard Fiat?
Brakes are different than the standard Fiat, much bigger brakes.
Yeah.
This car has the optional 17-inch forged aluminum wheels.
Okay. Oh, 17 inch. What are they normally?
16 is standard, 17 is the option.
Okay, and you got the rotors are painted red. Just like a Ferrari. It's the same company, right?
Same company.
Same company. There you go. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we covered a lot of this stuff when the guys were here. They had a red one here. Here, take a look. We'll give you a brief review of that one again. Well, you know, back when I was a kid, there were all kinds of exciting Italian cars you could buy for reasonable money. Alfa Romeo, the 124 Spider,
Right.
even the little 850 Spider. But lately, Italian exotic cars are hundreds of thousands of dollars. There aren't any inexpensive, fun Italian cars. And that's what's great about this. It brings that whole tradition back.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to say it's as much fun to drive as a Ferrari, but in a lot of ways it is because, boy, it's just got all kinds of power. It's a fantastic car to drive. Nice.
And really one of the nicest touches too is it's got a different, it's got the stability control program, which is again set up for track driving. So you've got kind of the full on, the wider parameters, and then you actually have a full off setting as well. So when you take it out on the track. So we've really done a lot of track testing. The car is extremely capable on the track. It's going to show best on kind of short, tighter tracks.
I love my little white Fiat 500 because it's serial number 2. Number 1 went to the boss. I have number 2. Is it worth it to upgrade? I don't know. Let's take a ride and see. I think it might be. a car this size, an additional 50 horsepower makes a big difference. Is that what it is, 50?
Actually, it's 60 more than the stock.
60 more than stock, so stock is what, 101, something like that?
101, this is 160.
101, this is 160.
What you're really feeling is the torque, though. It's 170 pound-feet of torque because we have the multi-air in here.
Oh, it does have the multi-air, huh?
It's the first application of turbo and
Okay.
multi-air.
Now, they sell the 2-cylinder version in Europe, correct?
The twin air.
But they don't sell the twin air here.
No. We've had a lot of people asking for it, though.
Yeah, I know. Everybody seems very curious about it.
The multi-air is actually a very complicated valve train system.
Yeah.
Instead of using variable valve timing, you actually electronic and hydraulic control the intake valve completely. So you can have, under high acceleration or maximum performance, you can have high duration and high lift cam,
Right.
because you're completely controlling the intake valve independent. Then, when you don't need it, you can actually dial that back and get low emissions and high fuel economy.
Right.
This car actually gets 34 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, it does fit a little meatier, a little beefier. You got your turbo pounds per square. What are we putting on this turbo? How many pounds are you putting through here?
This will run about 18, but it depends on.
Wow, 18.
But it modifies itself depending on the conditions. So
Right.
if you're high altitude, low altitude, it'll change, and it's not a set pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
The idea is to maintain a consistent torque output level, so
Yeah.
it'll vary the boost to maintain the highest output.
Now, does this have like a solenoid that opens the exhaust valve, or is it just pretty much that way all the time?
No, it's actually straight through exhaust. There is no exhaust.
There's no exhaust
muffler to speak of in the car.
Oh, that's interesting.
We-
Great sound. You know, it's funny. This would have been one of the fastest sports cars of the 60s or 70s. This would have blown the doors off any Triumph or MG back in the day. And you think of it as a small car, but you know, it's actually quite a big car inside. And even in what am I, third gear, tremendous amount of power. Look at that torque. You know, there's an old saying, it's fun to drive a slower car fast. In a lot of ways, it is to drive a fast car fast. And not that this is a slow car, but you can really experience, you know, going through the gearbox, hearing it rev. You know, when you're in the McLaren or Z01 Corvette and you're maxing out in second gear, you're already in jail. You see why you get 34 miles per gallon, even in fifth gear. You're barely turning 2,300 or 2,400 at 60.
Here's another cool thing about this car. Let's say you have to change direction really quickly. Just grab the handbrake.
She goes good. You know, I really think this is kind of what the future of sports cars will be. Because let's face it, with gas getting up to $5 and $6 a gallon, and these new fuel standards of 54 miles per gallon, which is coming, what, in the next 10 or 15 years, you're going to be looking to small, high-performance engines like this that are extremely efficient and very lightweight. You know, they used to, people always say, oh, I want a heavier car. But, you know, when Henry Ford built the Model T, he used to tell people, have you ever seen a fat man outrun a skinny man? He was going, no. And it's really true. Let's take it up the highway, put it in fifth gear. Going 60, revs are about 2,500 RPM, so the engine's barely working. And it's got enough torque to pull you along just fine. Boy, it gets really quiet. I mean, we're having a conversation in here, and it's not windy. There's no wind noise. There's no buffeting. You know, it's really a lot of fun to drive.
We spent a lot of time to make sure that under acceleration, it sounded like a very high performance car.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
cruising on the highway, no drone,
Right.
and a lot quieter.
I would guess, now don't get mad at me and don't write letters, but I would say this is really just about as quick as a one of those Ferrari Dinos from the 60s and 70s. Well, how many horsepower was that? What were they, 185, 160, something like that?
It was below 200, so
Yeah,
based
it was
on size and weight,
it was
it's
less than
probably
200 and it was probably heavier than this. If you know the answer, put it in our comment section. I'd be curious to hear what you say. I know some Ferrari guys will get mad at me, but I must speak the truth. I'm so glad this car is only available in a manual transmission because it really is a joy to drive. You know, if you like driving, it's so much fun. Just gearbox just kind of snicks in and you move through the gears and it's very relaxing. You know, I'm sure they'll probably come out with some paddle shifter for it in the future, but if you like to drive, you enjoy going through a gearbox, boy, it's a lot of fun.